Good morning.
Good morning.
Did you guys not get the memo? This is Kansas City Chiefs week, guys. You got to have the gear on. Shannon, stand up. Huh? Best she's ever looked. All right, guys. We're going to roll. We have a lot of stuff to get through today. So we're going to do a couple quick videos as we head into this thing. The first one is important because this message is what turned around Kansas City's season. Show us. Let's roll with Patrick Mahomes and what he told the team when they were down 21-0.
We do not have to do anything else other than being ourselves. I truly believe that. If we just be ourselves and trust in each other, we will go down there and we can put points out, we can do what we do. Don't try to go out here and do everything for yourself. Believe in your teammate. You know what I mean? Believe in each other. And we'll get these opportunities. We'll go down. We'll find a way to win the game. Let's do it right here, man. Let's go.
Good enough, baby. Who you are?
Oh, show on three. 1, 2, 3. Oh, show. Other than being ourselves.
Forget it. That's not the right
I truly
video.
believe that. If we just be ourselves.
The video's 52-second one. Is there a 52-second one there? He talked about let's do something special. Let's do something special. One play at a time. They already think we're going to lose the game. We'll play that next. It's for another time after they win the Super Bowl. Quick video as a little tribute to Kobe Bryant, which was sad whether you're a sports fan or not. Almost everybody knew who he was. I guess that was 2 days ago. So if we could play a little Kobe video here real quick.
Once upon a time, there was a young basketball player who had dreams of becoming one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
My name is Kobe Bryant. I'm 17 years old. With the hunger, the motivation, and the desire to be the best possible basketball player that I could be.
He worked day and night, every day, for years and years and years and years and years. And as time went on, 20 years had passed, and he felt that he had accomplished all that he set out to accomplish. But what he come to realize is that the goal that he set out initially of becoming the greatest of all time was a very fickle one. And what he realized that the most important thing in life is how your career moves and touches those around you and how it carries forward to the next generation. But he realized that's what makes true greatness. Well, the story would be about transformation of a kid looking inwardly to then growing up and understanding the importance and the power is looking outward.
It's a great feeling to know that you set a goal for yourself and you were able to reach that goal and to knock it down.
If I had the power to turn back time, I would never use it. I think about it. Because then every moment that you go through means absolutely nothing, but you can always go back and do it again. So it loses its flavor, it loses its beauty. When things are final, you know, moments won't ever come again. To be able to have the power to go back and re-experience those things it's silly to me.
When you take that jersey off for the final time, how do you think you're going to feel?
Very at peace with it, and I'm very thankful, you know, for the 20 years that I've had, and you know, ready to go.
I love that. I always tell people, I've said this 20 years ago when I had to figure out, when my mom passed away, am I going to be in the real estate business or am I going to do something else or whatever? And I've said this, many of you have heard me say this before, I don't really perceive us as in the real estate business. I believe our goal is to enrich the lives of others, that at the end of the day, when people look back at our legacy, it's not going to be the titles, the influence, or the success we've had in selling houses. It's going to be, will other people be missing something in their life when we're gone, right? Because we've enriched their lives, that their life had something special that and different and better than if they did not know us. So to me, that's really the definition of success is, are we enriching the lives of others and making a meaningful difference in other people's lives? So I love that video. We've got a lot to go through. Ralph was down in, it was a Wichita or Topeka? Kansas. I should take the state, if nothing else. He was somewhere in the United States speaking. Ralph's going to come up here and go through some of his top takeaways. I spent last week in California, the first half of the week. We were up in Orange County for the Millennial Think Tank. For the first time in the 7 years that they've had that, we did not have somebody on that group. So I've took a lot of notes. I want to go through that in the second half of the week. I was down in San Diego for CEO meetings, and there were some common themes in all of those meetings. One of my business partners had got us a 67 GTO to run around for the week, and seatbelts are different. Shannon kept saying, "Where's the seatbelt?" And then once we figured out where the seatbelt was, the long side was on the insides, and they'd always the valet would flip mine on her seat, so she'd always put my seatbelt on her, and I don't have a seatbelt to get on. But they retroed it, so we did have at least windows that would go up and down by power, but it was interesting and fun to drive that around for a couple of days. So we're going to have Kevin come in here for a couple minutes, because one of the things that we're really focusing on this year is what are things that we can do to differentiate ourselves from others in the marketplace. What are things that gives us a competitive advantage? And we've talked a lot about that with the free home warranty. We're going to have Maggie come up here a little bit, talk about Move Guru and how that's finally been signed off on, and we're ready to roll on that. But the mortgage company has a couple really powerful tools on a match or beat program and on a seller program that I think is better than cash. So Kevin, you want to run through this for us real quick? Yep. Kevin with Prosperity Mortgage. Gina's first full week as my new full-time assistant. So Brooke's sitting back, chilling, drinking a margarita.
Brooke's been screaming all day. So thank you. Hey, I live in Kansas City. You guys can't imagine everything is red. So anyway, go ahead.
You got to start wearing your Chiefs gear the rest of the week, guys. Come on.
Maybe I should buy a red suit. I don't know. So I want to talk about a couple things that are really exciting for us and for you guys. Is first off, our second opinion. Some of you know about it. This is what we've just introduced for you guys to make sure your buyer gets the absolute best deal out there. Prosperity will ensure we will meet or beat any competitor's deal. If we can't, we will give your customer $1,000. Okay, we're doing that to help you guys. You know, a lot of times you'll get a pre-qual come in with a lender you really don't want to use. This is a great tool to get them to go get pre-approved, get pre-qualified with Prosperity. So talk to the loan officers here about the second opinion. This is the buyer advantage. Some of you guys know this. What we do for your customers is before they ever find a house, we will take the application. We'll actually put them through the full underwriting process and issue a loan commitment before they ever find a property. Because as the spring market comes, we know competitive multi-offers. We want to make sure you guys have the strongest offer on the table. So it's a fully, I want you guys to be aware, it's fully underwritten. Never goes back to the underwriter. It's a committed loan subject only to the collateral. Okay, so what we've added to this program is with the buyer advantage, we've now added our closing guarantee to that. This is huge, guys. This is something that's not done in the industry. And what we'll do, once we give the buyer advantage, we give that loan commitment to your borrower, they find a property, we will guarantee an on-time close, or we'll give your seller $10,000. Again, we want to make sure you guys have every weapon out there for multi-offers to make your borrower or the buyer, you have the strongest buyer in the market. So we've tested this in a couple markets. I just want to give you a couple scenarios. So this is one thing that we found in the spring and summer. You guys are in a market that, and I think we all expect it to be similar to what it was last year, where, you're in that hot market, you're going to get multiple offers. So you can have 4 scenarios on the deal. You can have that first offer you can give with a pre-qual letter. We know pre-qual letters are not worth the paper they're written on. It's or I'm sorry, no pre-qual letter. The second option is the pre-qual. The third best option is a fully committed loan signed by an underwriter. You can present a commitment letter with your offer. The strongest offer out there, and Vince says it's better than cash. Fully underwritten loan, and you can give a certificate to the seller to say, hey, if we don't close in time, we'll give you $10,000. So think about it as a listing agent. Which offer are you going to take? So next one. So the next one is if you're on a listing appointment. This is a great tool to win that listing. If you're competing with Keller Williams or whoever, it's a great tool. You can talk about the fantastic benefits that Berkshire Hathaway has. You can talk about your lender now. As a seller, if we can get the buyer to go through Prosperity, if we don't close on time, we'll give you $10,000. It's a great tool to help you win listings. And scenario number 3, your buyer comes in with an other lender. I won't mention any names, but we all know who some of the banks that you guys don't like. I've heard you all talk about them. But they come in and you want to direct them to somebody else, preferably Prosperity. First off, hey, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Buyer, hey, why don't you give Prosperity a try? If they can't meet or beat what you have, they'll give you $1,000. There's no risk. What's the worst thing that happens? They get $1,000. If we beat it, you're going to get great service. We're going to close the loan. We'll give your buyer a fully underwritten loan commitment before they ever find a property. Present that with the time of offer. Combine the two. Mr. Buyer, go ahead, give Prosperity a call. The worst thing is you'll get $1,000. If they meet or beat, hey, when I present that offer, Mr. Seller, here's a guarantee we'll close on time or we'll give you $10,000. You will win those deals every time, I guarantee it. So that's what our closing guarantee looks like. The loan officers are around, so afterwards, talk to them, get some more details. So bottom line, second opinion, will meet or beat any competitor's offer. The buyer advantage will underwrite your borrower before they find a property, and will guarantee that we're going to close on time. So again, I know I hustled through this, but Vince told me I only had 5 minutes, so.
3.
There we go. Thanks, guys. We're outside. I hope I made it in 5 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So, I mean, that's the thing that excites me is when we get these these 10, 15 bid offers, and you say, here's a cash offer, which always has been winning those, right? We were losing out on lender offers a lot last year. All of a sudden, you tell the seller, you can get $10,000 if they don't close on time. This is really better than cash. I mean, some sellers I would think is like, I hope the deal falls through. Now, but I think that's a powerful, powerful tool. So before I get Ralph up here, I'm going to have Maggie come up real quick and talk about Move Guru, which we've got signed off on, and I think training is going to start on that fast, and also the Nebraska Furniture Mart program that we do have in place right now. As they do that, I'm going to let you guys start handing these ballots out, okay?
Vince, you got to be very careful when you say if you don't close on time, you get $10,000. There's a lot of variables. Without what happens if on the seller's side it doesn't close on time and they drag the thing out and doesn't close.
If
There are some things that are out of our
That's
control.
important to say.
And
Right.
that's on all the certificates.
Yeah, if the seller purposely delays it for that doesn't work. We're going to start handing out the Kay Carolisi Award as she's talking. Then as you get that, then I'll explain to you what that is and how to vote on that. Here you go.
All right, Move Guru, which is the concierge moving program. We've talked about it a couple times here. We are ready to start training and launch the program at the end of the month. So again, it's the program where it's automatic from .loop. So .loop automatically sends Move Guru the buyer's information or the seller's information, the address, email address, things that are relevant for the transaction and for them. And it generates an email to your clients that then they start to receive special offers, whether it's utilities, internet services, a pizza place nearby, so they get coupons on moving day. it kind of runs the gamut. Training is, the first session is scheduled for Friday afternoon at 2, and then we'll have 3 more sessions the following week. These are all online sessions. I will be sending out links with registration through Zoom. You can watch it webinar style. We'll grab a conference room to do kind of a group training session down here as well. But this program is ready to roll out, and again, it's automatic. Now, if you don't want your
No
client-
cost to the client, no cost to us as an agency.
Right, no cost to you, no cost to your clients. If you do not want a client to receive one of these emails for some reason, you get a confirmation email ahead of time. You can opt them out. So there's going to be a lot more details coming. They do pretty robust training with a lot of, I guess, pieces for your clients, pieces for you guys to understand, but just know that this is coming. Friday afternoon at 2 is the first training session, and then we won't automatically start sending those emails until the training's kind of gone through a couple times. So,
Perfect. Nebraska Furniture Mart.
NFM, we have friends and family pricing. We have these nice little postcards for your clients. Regency has a whole stack of them, so I'm going to go steal some from their office today too. But Heather has some. I'm going to give some to Sarah so that we have them on every floor. So if you have a transaction, your buyer or seller wants to go to NFM, they need to come grab, or you need to come grab one of these cards for them. You fill out their information. They can go to the mart and take advantage of special pricing. Again, we don't always know what that special pricing is. It could be pretty significant on flooring. Maybe it's a couch, living room set. It's probably not as great on the 65-inch TVs, just because they discount
And then
those
agents
already.
also can use these.
Yeah. Yep. So that's NFM. Matterport.
Yes.
So we have a relationship with a vendor for Matterport coming within the next 4 to 6 weeks. We'll be able to offer discounted or I guess aggressive pricing for Matterport tours. So that's the deal where they come in, they do a floor plan of the house. Your clients or it's great for new construction. Builders can use it. So there's going to be more details on that coming, but that's going to be coming pretty soon.
Kind of like we have with Joe and the photography,
Exactly.
that we'll have a relationship with these guys to get you a better pricing you could do if you went into the public and tried to get it yourself.
Yep.
So any questions for Maggie on that? Move Guru, embrace that. And you did give the dates of training on that, right?
First one is Friday at 2, and then I believe the next one's going to be Monday and then Wednesday of the following
So
week.
we'll send out a mass
send it all
email
out.
on that, making sure that everyone knows that. Yes, you walk on up because you're talking next.
Hey, I was just curious, will we see a list of which vendors will be marketing to our clients?
Yeah. In there's a list of the vendors that are in there, and then you see what they've opened, what they haven't opened, all those things.
So, Missy, you want to come up and talk about the video?
Okay, so after Explosion last year, we had quite a few agents reach out that wanted to provide video marketing books to their clients. So you ask and we deliver. We were able to order, I believe, 100 of these. I think it's been a while. So these are all branded for us with the Berkshire logo for Ambassador Real Estate. And then we have a quote in the inside from Warren Buffett. You will automatically see the Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador logo pop up. And then you get a USB cable. So essentially what you can do is you can upload videos and photos utilizing that in a folder. It connects easily just like any other USB that you plug into your computer. And then from there you can upload if it's a Matterport video, if it's you represent a builder and maybe it's a few of the different videos for subdivisions or model homes or something like that. Another idea would be for an out-of-town buyer. If you have that luxury client and you've gone and uploaded some walkthrough videos or video tours on those properties, then you could go ahead and mail this off to them. Some agents from Explosion indicated they use these for closing gifts. So a lot of different ideas. We are selling these at cost, so $39 per book. These can also be reused. So if you delete the videos off of the book, then you can reuse it for your next project. So a lot of different ideas. And then also what some of the other agents indicated was to brand them specifically to you. You can get those little business card, like the vinyl inserts that just tape to the front. So you could put that on the inside cover and then slip your business card in there as well.
Do we have anybody using that yet here in the office?
I don't believe so. And then this one, if anyone wants to take a look at it, I just downloaded a video so you can see what it looks like. And essentially, you've got play, pause. You can also include, any photos that you upload, any PNG images. Maybe it's a plat map for a development that you represent at the end of that video tour. I know Cindy Forehead is the agent that really wanted to get her hands on these. So.
And then the special, so that you got it for.
Yeah. So we ordered in bulk. Otherwise, if you went to this service provider and ordered these for, let's say, you individually or your team, the minimum order was $25, and per price would have been $55. So it just seemed a little bit. Expensive. And then also relative to how many video books people wanted, they were like, okay, there's got to be a better solution. So we went ahead and ordered these at the bulk pricing so that you can, if you want to just buy one and try it out, you can, and then you can go and scale from there.
If it goes well, we'll order more of them. But so we want to fill you guys out on this.
Yeah, and then we already designed them for you, so they're ready to roll. And I also have instructions on how to. Basically, it's like step by step with pictures on how to access the folder, how to connect it to your laptop, how to delete videos, how to upload videos, and then also I have instructions on the maximum viewing time. It's between like 5 to 7 minutes, depending on your other images that you upload to the video book. So.
Perfect. Any questions? Yes. Yes.
Does it have sound?
Absolutely.
Does it have sound?
Yeah, it's the real deal. You can mute it.
The real deal. It has sound.
You can you can rewind it. You can pause it. It's in color. It's in color.
You've got $200. You can buy 5 of those books.
HDMI. Yeah. Only up to 5 to 7 minutes of video time, and then also, like I said, you can upload images. So maybe you want to upload at the end of that, like I said, a plat map for a subdivision for a builder you represent. Maybe it's a team photo. Maybe I don't know. It's like sky's the limit. So yeah, $39 a piece.
Well, you could use it to promote you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And or your team and put.
You send it in the mail.
You can send it in the mail. Yeah, so a lot of the clients or the agents that came to Explosion said they're utilizing these from corporate, from our service provider, to send out to those luxury clients if they specialize in a specific type of industry. So say you specialize in vacation homes or you specialize in relocation. So whatever your thing is, think of using this as a tool to get in front of your audience. And so here's some information that we have up front, so you can grab one of these flyers. This gives you all of the specifics that I just talked about. And if you want to snag any of these, just reach out to me, melissa.bolt@BHHSAMB, and then I will get these in your hands, and then you will just be charged on your agent bill. So we want to make it really simple.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Everyone has a ballot. Once a year, the awards breakfast, first of all, is February 18th. So if you've not signed up for that, please get signed up for Janet as soon as possible. We'll do it the same place we did it last year, over on Fort Street. State Street, Fort Street, they're all close to each other. It's north of Dodge. I'm not in real estate. I don't show houses, so I don't know my directions very well. To get on the list, you had to do a minimum $4 million of closed business. So on this list, the past winners are not on this list, is that right? So the past winners, we don't let you win the award for a second time. If you're saying, where is Kathy Blackman or Adam Briley or Mike Briley or Deb Cizik or Cindy Forehead, that would have qualified, their name's on the back. They don't qualify, so they can't win it a second time. This award is so special, we think that if you win it once, that should be it. But you had to do $4 million to get on the list. That is the only qualification. This is voted on by you, will be handed out at the awards breakfast in February. And basically, this is for you to define what you think the outstanding ambassador is. Is the outstanding ambassador someone that sells a whole bunch of real estate? Is the outstanding ambassador someone that you believe is a very helpful person that helps other agents, that it does good in the community? It is for you to define. It's not for us to define. So you guys vote on this. We then tally the votes and figure out who you guys have voted and recognize them at the annual awards breakfast. So I'm going to give each one of you a minute here to go through this. Please check a box. If you don't have a pen, get one from the person next to you, and we've got some pens to hand out here. Fold it in half, and then we'll have the staff, as Ralph and I get rolling, go ahead and pick those up for you. And Ralph, you can come up whenever you're ready. Give your vote to Nico. Hold it whatever way makes you happy. I don't care. We're going to roll here. Ralph, could you talk a little bit, I guess, where you went to and what was the conference, and a couple of your top takeaways as we dive in this, and we'll maybe just bounce back and forth on some of our top takeaways?
Yeah, I drove to Lawrence, Kansas. First of all, everyone who knows me knows I don't drive. It was 3.5 hours. It was icy and snowy. Going there was easy. Coming home at night was scary. But made it back. Look at me. It was Lawrence's Board of Realtors Ready, Set, Spring. Every year they have a kickoff. They had 3 pretty powerful speakers, and then they had a panel that I spoke on. Myself, there was a gal that couldn't get there from Kansas City. She got in a wreck. And there was a guy from Oklahoma and another gal from Kansas. But the 3 speakers are pretty well known. The first speaker was Michael Maher, and he wrote a book called 7L. And his book is a lot about referrals. And his 7 levels of communication. And he talks about not waiting for a life-changing event to change your life. If your buyers aren't buying and your sellers aren't motivated to sell, perhaps it's your sense of urgency that's lacking and not theirs. And everything was an acronym. I couldn't believe how many acronyms everybody had, but he had an acronym, LIFE, which is learn, implement, fail, and evaluate. And then the 7 levels of communication are one-on-one meetings. It's a pyramid that he had, and the one-on-one meeting thing is huge. And then the next one was events and seminars, which is like an influential zone. Phone calls, handwritten notes, huge on handwritten notes. Electronic communication, if you can't do a handwritten note and want to get to someone quickly. Direct mail, and then advertising. God,
those are all new ideas.
Yeah.
Have any of you ever heard of any of those before? The better question is, have any of you ever done any of those before?
He talks about handing out referrals to get referrals, which is kind of an interesting concept. He said if you to get 50 referrals, you have to hand out 100. Write your blessings down every morning, because that's a great way to start your day. Then they had the FROG. That was another acronym, which is how to live your life: family, recreation, occupation, goals. This business is too addictive, and too many people get, me included, get caught up in it so much. And you worry. You worry about your next check. You worry when you take time off, or you feel guilty, but how important that is. And then he talks about being strategic in your meeting times. So stack meetings like at like Starbucks. So have a meeting from 9 to 9:30 and have the next meeting at 9:25, so that they see you've met with somebody and you're meeting with somebody else, almost like a doctor's office where you're taking appointments, but it's still in a relaxed setting. It's not at the actual office. Then he had a thing called a DISC profile. When you're meeting with people, D is for dominance. These people are straight to the point, and you got to recognize their personality. I was for influence. They like to socialize. They want to just talk, and it's me, 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 me. S stands for steadiness, which is just dependable. They live to serve and please. And then finally, C is for compliance. And when you end all meetings, especially when you're networking, you should always ask these last 2 questions. How can I help you, and what can I do for you? And I mean, we don't do that enough. It seems like we're just so anxious to sell them a house or show them a house or do something. Sometimes, you may be able to help them in another area of their life. I do have a really good insurance agent, Paul Ladaka from Northwestern Mutual, and he always ends everything like that. And then he always ends it, do you know 5 people that I could reach out to today? And then he calls and says, Ralph gave me your name. Now, you hate when you get those calls. I'm going to kill Ralph for giving my name. But it's important that you do that, and you'll get a lot of business. And then he finished up with the person who talks the most dominates the conversation, Nico. But the person who asks the most questions controls the conversation. So the more questions you ask, the more you get from them. Don't try to close deals via email. Emails are for information only. And then first and 10, first thing arriving every morning, make 10 phone calls. And that's pretty easy to do and get that done right away. Especially if you make them in the morning, then there's a chance for them to catch back in the day. When you start making your phone calls at 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, people start shutting it down. They start going home, picking kids up from school, things like that. Start out every morning. So that was him. He wrote a book called 7L, the forms of communications, and it's not just necessarily for real estate. It's also regards to, communication in other industries. It's a real popular book that's been around forever. He was signing them. I didn't get one. Okay.
So I'll take one, and then we'll go back to you. Yeah. All right. In my CEO meetings, our last day to kick it off on Friday, Tom Ferry was our keynote speaker, and I am trying to. Who's went to Tom Ferry event in the past? I am talking to Tom about getting him in here to Omaha this fall. He normally charges $35,000 plus first class air, plus a hotel, plus. And I said we ain't paying that much, Tom. But he's writing a book right now, and he wants to become a New York Times bestseller. So we're hopefully going to be able to maybe buy 500 books or something like that, and get him to come here and get him to waive his fee. So we're negotiating right now, but hopeful we are going to for sure get a keynote speaker in here this year. But Tom is one of the guys that we're talking to right now. Tom spoke about a guy called Mike Vance. Has anybody heard of Mike? Mike Vance, I spoke a lot at Mike Ferry events in the past. Mike Vance was a guy that ended up getting a job working for Walt Disney. And his title, after about a year, he worked there for 10 years, was Ideas and People Development. And I kind of thought that was a cool thing. But he said there was a couple fundamental questions. Tom asked him, he says, what's the most important thing for people to know? And he says, the best understand the following. And he talks about Mother Teresa and Steve Jobs and people like that. And he says, there's 5 questions. He says, Mike Vance says, there's 5 fundamental questions that the best, the most successful people all understand to the core. And he says, on the surface, you think, I can answer that, I can answer that, I can answer that. But the goal is really to dive deeper into each one of these questions to better understand what the answer to each one of them is. Question number 1, and we'll send these out to everybody, okay? Question number 1 is, what's my purpose and why am I here? We've heard that, who's the guy that did the TED's talk that always says, what's my why? Simon Sinek, thank you. That's always a real question. If you look at the most successful people in the world, they've understood and figured out what is their why. So again, what's my purpose and why am I here? That once you understand that, you're going to have much more happiness and success in your life because you've understood really what the purpose and the importance of you being here is. 2 is identify your God-given talents. Every one of us has God-given talents. Every one of us has strengths that you've got to understand and identify what is your strength if you're going to truly be as successful as possible in any given thing. And the subset with that was, he says, once you identify your talents, he says it's absolutely essential to put driven, successful people around you. Right? We talk about that a lot. That the best way to become better at anything you do is surround yourself with people that are smart or smarter or more successful than you. Be a sponge and learn from them. The third question that he said is, what are your core values? Meaning, what is your decision-making process? What's important to you? And based on what's important to you, how do you make your decisions as you run through your business and your life? The fourth question that he said that's a fundamental question that's essential to understand is, how is the world experiencing me? Right? How is the world experiencing me? How does the world see me? His sub-questions on that is, what's your dreams? What are you going for? What's your goal at the end of the day? So how does the world experience me? And the fifth and final question of the fundamental questions that he says all successful people understand is, who would you be if you were already there? If you had everything and you could choose to be anybody, who would you be if you were already there? What would that person look like? They've all decided what makes them happy, and they hang with people that understand their values. So that's the 5 fundamental questions that he said that every successful person understands. He talked a lot about Mother Teresa. And he says that if anybody's not read it, he says it's a short read. He would highly recommend you get Mother Teresa's memoirs. He says it's an incredible book. And he said that she clearly understood what her why was and what her purpose was and where she should be, that she was asked by the Vatican and others to come and do things with them. And she's like, no, I am in the place that God wants me to be. I understand my purpose, and here's what I'm doing, and I understand these are the people that I need to serve. Right? She wasn't in this plush place. She was being offered to go to this plush place, but she understood so much her why and her purpose and how other people saw her that it made her life more meaningful and happy. The second question that Tom asked Mike Vance, and I guess to kick this back, he said this guy was, a creative genius, but he was a little out there. He says the first time he met him, he says he was a 19, 20-year-old kid. He was just, he met him at a conference, and he said, hey, I'd like to sit down and I would like to meet you. He says, I was nervous. I went and talked to him. He said he had 4 things. I should have wrote down the 4 things. He said he had Cuban coffee. He had, I don't remember the other 4 things. Does everyone know what Cuban coffee is? Yeah. Cocaine. Oh. So he's like, now take a little snort of that. He says, we're going to be a lot more creative. He says, so I took a snort of that, and he's like, I'm like, he said, but this guy was off the wall smart. I don't know if, I wouldn't recommend doing cocaine to get off the wall smart personally, but it was an interesting conversation for this guy. Second question that Tom, the second question, yeah, I'm not sure if that's part of our HR code or not. Second question that Tom Ferry asked Mike Vance was, what are the things that we need to be successful? And he gave him, again, 5 answers. He says, to be successful, everybody needs, he says, this is Mike Vance's list. Everybody needs clarity and purpose. You need clarity and purpose, right? You need a clear vision. Number 2 is that you can't communicate enough with your clients and coworkers. Roy and I have talked about 2020 is the year of we need to communicate more frequently in a more meaningful way, showing more value. TJ said that at Explosion and in panels he's been on here, right? We can't communicate enough with our clients. You cannot over-communicate with them. That is what today's client and world expects, that we communicate with them clearly and on an ongoing basis and in a meaningful way, showing our value. Part of that communication Tom talks about from his own perspective is you have to do videos. Anybody not doing videos, and we had a little mastermind group yesterday that we're going to start working on getting you guys more ideas of how to utilize video, how to use that effectively to grow your business. He says you've got to use videos to tell the message all the time because you're going to get much more audience. There was some number that shows that your open rate is much higher if you're using video. But the second thing that he said, and the Rethink Council said the exact same thing when they were talking about utilizing videos, you need to get an app, and I'm drawing a blank on what it is, to put words on it. That people want the words on the video. So utilize video, tell your message all the time, but put words on there. I will get the name of the app and we'll send that out to everybody, okay? That was you can't communicate enough. Number 3 is stay in the trenches. Now he was talking to CEOs, but he said one of the problems and one of the disconnects in every industry is CEOs start becoming disconnected, right? And this applies to you. If you become disconnected, you have a deal with a client, and then all of a sudden you're not staying in touch with them, you're not in the trenches, continue to learn and improve what you're doing, you lose your edge. Walt Disney tells a story, Vance tells a story about Walt Disney, and this was at the end of Disney's life. He was sick with cancer. He walked up to Vance's desk, this was early on in Vance's career, and he says, what is this shit? He's like, what do you mean, what is this shit? He says, this is what I've been working on. This is the project that we're doing. He's like, well, this is shit. And he's like, okay. So Disney, this is like at 5:30 at night. He rolls up his sleeves, he orders dinners, and he stays with Vance till 3 in the morning. He's deadly sick, but he says, you've got to be in the trenches. When your people have a vision and they're struggling with that, or they don't have a vision, it is your job to help them get there. So never leave the trenches, right? One of the reasons I love, and we have managers sitting in mastermind groups, right, and that we do panels, is it allows us to all stay in touch with people that are doing things on a daily basis to give us better ideas of how to be more productive. Number 4 is the most successful people understand that they always raise the bar. If they've hit a goal, they have to have a new goal that's higher than that. You've got to continue to be reaching higher and higher and higher. And finally, he says you need creativity and innovation. We've got to continue to reinvent ourselves. We cannot become complacent and do what we used to do in the past. You've got to have creativity. So clarity and purpose. You can't communicate enough with your clients and coworkers. Do that through video. Stay in the trenches and stay in touch with your people on a regular basis. Always raise the bar. If you reach a goal, then you need to raise it to another level. Creativity and innovation. I'm going to bounce back to you.
Okay. The second speaker at our event was Dr.
I can't make fun of Ralph today because he's got the microphone.
Dr. Jessica Lotz, and first thing out of her mouth was, we all need to do more cocaine. No. No, she
Cuban coffee.
She didn't say that. Although I do have a sidebar. So she's kind of a heavy-set gal, and we had dinner the night before, and she sat next to me, and she was really kind of, every other word was not a really nice word, and I'm like, who is this person? And then she got up to talk, and she was so professional, and so couldn't fucking believe it. All right. She's vice president of demographics and behavioral insights at the National Association of Realtors. So she's doing trends, and that's all she talked about. One of the biggest shifts she sees is a change in household composition. There are fewer home buyers who are having children, and that changes buyers' motivation. As birth rates drop nationwide, fewer buyers have children under the age of 18 in their homes. Just a few years ago, buyers were concerned about living near the best schools, but now they're seeing a jump in the desire to accommodate pets with outdoor spaces and proximity to dog parks and veterinarians. So, I mean, she showed that a lot on how the houses that are changing. She also talked about the home buying age is slowly rising, currently up to 33 from last year's 32. While it doesn't seem like a significant jump, she said it's an indicator that consumers have to save for longer periods of time before they can enter the market. Other trends is multi-generational living, where friends are buying homes together, is really becoming popular in markets where the houses are so expensive. And then also family members buying together where mom is giving them money and then she's going to live with them. We've sold 2 this year like that. And that allows them to get the house they want, and then she's got a place to stay too. So it works out.
Let's not take any money from your mom, honey.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like a good program to me.
And then she I didn't interrupt you.
I'm sorry.
So then
You just scared me.
So then she talked about. No, I forgot what I was going to say. Okay, where's that cocaine?
Mom.
That the buyers, millennial buyers, are such a confusing group, and every day they continue to confuse because everyone thinks it's that me generation, that it's all about them, but when they're spending their money, they're not spending as much. They're real protective of what they're buying. They're not going way off on the deep end, and that's why they're staying in their parents' houses longer. And I think we all kind of know that, but that was it, and that was all she said.
We know that because we're parents.
Yeah, really. And then the last speaker was Lee Brown, who she's been here in Omaha,
Yes.
and she was a lot of fun. She also moderated the panel and totally picked on me, but she has a book called The 7 Deadly Sins of Sales. And I mean, there's a lot of books about the deadly sins of sales. Hers are in real estate. And a lot of them are pretty straightforward. She's really, really, really down on the egocentric agent. She said, put down your awards, put down your plaques. Nobody really cares. And when you meet with people, you should talk about yourself for less than 5 minutes. And you're already in the house, or you're already with them, so you've already accomplished that goal. And we're spending too much time talking about I'm, Realtor of the Year, best at this, best at that. They don't care. What they're caring about is their needs. And she said you really, really need to work on getting away from being egocentric. Can you hold that for a minute?
Yes, absolutely.
I'll give it to you real quick.
You need my glasses?
Nope. I can see. Can't hear.
What?
Then sin number 2, the morning after. Nico, you know what this is like. It's abandonment. I know. Sorry, that was not right. Look at you out the door. Okay. Yes, I know you're meant to call those past clients, talk to people who did business with you once upon a time. The path to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. We're not getting back to our clients, and we do a deal with them, and then we just okay, thanks, see you in 5, and that's got to stop. You got to spend more time with those clients, and just stupid little things like their son plays soccer, and you saw on Facebook he did really good. It takes 10 seconds to call him. Hey, I saw Tony score the winning goal. God, you got to be really proud. How's he doing? Where's he going to college? And that's it. And not talking about a house, and just let them know that you're your friend. And she said that'll get you 10 referrals. I mean, all of a sudden you're like, they feel really good. Nothing more than someone want to hear how good their kids are doing. So sin number 3, settle down. Misplaced sense of urgency. We all know the agent that's got their deal that's going bad, and everything's like, it's like this is a sin of acting like your hair is on fire all the time. However, there are a few situations which you should have your hair set on fire. So Stop making everything like, a high sense of urgency when it's not. Yeah, I know. That's really good for me. Okay, shut up. Next one. It's hard to turn pages if you want to. Sin number 4. That's a high horse you've got there. Cherry picking. Cherry picking is strategically or not so strategically deciding with whom you will or not do business with. It's amazing. Sometimes we just, you sell a $80,000 house to somebody, and I've done that before. Granted, 35 years ago, that's what they all were. But and then how many houses later I sold them, or somebody else that they recommended that was a bigger buyer, so on and so forth. So it may not be your where to, but sometimes working with that smaller buyer teaches you more about yourself and about the market, and that's just business. At the end of the year, it all adds up. Sin 5. Fish or cut bait, aversion to loss. Learning not to cherry pick with whom to work is one thing, but not being afraid or unable to remove a poisonous person from your life. We did that last week, and it's kind of funny. You can find 100 reasons not to fire a client, and then you just know the moment you fire them, 2 days later that house is going to sell full price, and you're like, ugh. But if it's changing your life, you need to cut bait. I mean, there's nothing worse to wake up, or nothing worse to look at your phone and you see their name and you're like, oh shit. Do I take it now? Do I take it later? How do I deal with it? So don't be afraid to lose. Sin 6, cut the bull hockey. That's her words, not mine. Fluff and puff. This is 1985. Glamour, my friends, is gone. Today's consumers don't want a false fantasy. They want facts. It's not time to tell. It's not just time to tell the truth. It's time to understand. And she really beats down on this. We share the same goals. We want to sell your house in the quickest time for the most money with the least inconvenience. She goes, all 3 of those are lies. You can't control any of them. We can't control the price. We can't control if there's a rogue loan officer or a rogue buyer or a rogue seller. All you're doing is setting yourself up to say, later on down the transaction, well, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. This was really tough. It's not, so on and so forth. So stop saying that. That's not true. What you need to say is, I'm just going to provide to you the most possible service I can to help you get to your next destination. And that's a fact that you can't control. And then finally, sin number 7, don't do cocaine. No, put your horse before the damn cart. Inverted priorities. We all know we're supposed to put God and family before business. However, salespeople have a bad habit of putting business first, because if they're not selling, they're not getting paid. It's not long before it's only one phone call or it's only just one delay. And, we all have that confession to make. Your family is most important. When Nico was growing up, I had to have him because I only had him Tuesday weekend, and he was 2 years old, and if I had to go list a house, he was going with me. Of course, he had the greatest Nintendo stuff ever to play in the corner with, but at the end of the day, I still want to be with him, because if I wasn't with him, it was another whole week before I'd see him. So and my priorities were forced. But sometimes, I sit around TJ and I see him, and I can hear him now. He's so loud, but about talking about his kids and his family, and he's got to go because he's got to pick them up for school. Those things are the most important, because as you look back, I've said this a million times. When I was dying and they were wheeling me back for my heart surgery and gave me my last rites, I didn't think anything about houses. All I thought about is I didn't get to see Nico grow up. I didn't get to see grandchildren. I didn't get to Europe. Those are the things I remember. So still stay tuned with what's important to you. That was her big speech. So, and then finally, the panel was fun. It was really abusive, though. There's a lot of angry people in Lawrence. I felt almost at one point attacked, and what they're upset about, and we're all upset about it, and we talked about it yesterday, is the commission downward pressure on commissions. And that's your next one. I'll let you have it. But at the end of the day, they were like, what are you doing in your market to stop it? And those are hard questions. They really are. And I get it. You got a Jeep payment, and so I'm taking this at 5% because it's going to sell in an hour, and I don't care. But at the end of the day, as an industry, we've bastardized as commissions so much. And now we all remember, a lot of us remember, 7% was the go-to.
Yep.
And then it went to 6, and that kind of creeped in, and like, all right, I'm okay with that because house prices are going up. Well, now it's creeping to 5, and there's a lot of people doing 4.5. And pretty soon, you're going to have to write a check, sell a house. And that it's nice to see, or not really nice, but it's to be aware that this isn't the only place that's obviously going on. And they don't have a lot of pressure with Google. Nobody talked about that. They were just talking about agents, and then they started naming companies, and then the moderator goes, okay, all right, we're not going to do that. So, but anyway, it was a really good time. If you have an opportunity to speak on a panel and go, it's just interesting to see it different. It was a really nice venue, and like I said, the scariest part was getting home, but beyond that, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, the common theme between the Millennial Rethink, which was 13 young, top productive agents from across the country, and the CEO meeting, which is 45 other CEOs of large brokers across the country, was that one theme of what Ralph just talked about. The downward pressure on prices. From the broker's perspective, they were looking at it, the downward pressure on profits, because I'm not going to give you the number, but the amount of money that Berkshire Hathaway real estate companies made last year was substantially less than the year before, which was substantially less than the year before. And it's all because commissions keep going down and the pressure's on them. And so there was a lot of, and I'm going to go in here to some best practices to help grow your business, but that was really a common theme of what do we do to continue to show value. And it came back, when Tom Ferry's talking that we've got to communicate, we got to show more value, we have to have more meaningful conversations as we move forward. It's one of the reasons why do we have the trucks, Move Guru. We've been working really hard over the last year or two to make sure that we can get you guys anything in the marketplace that is a competitive advantage, and we're going to do a better job of making sure that we're reaching out to you on a regular basis, having more classes on these type of things, so you guys are better prepared, right? To make sure that when that opportunity rises, that you're best situated to conquer that.
There was one agent that got up that actually got booed. She has done what she calls menu pricing. So she has a 4, a 5, and a 6. And her 4 is you come pick the sign up, you install the lockbox, you take your own photos, you monitor Google, and then when there's a contract, I'll call you and you come to my office at my convenience. And she was just really arrogant about it and like, okay. And then 6% was the other way, where she like a conventional normal service agent. And so, I asked the question, well, where do they fall? And she goes, I have a lot of people doing 4. So, which I just found kind of shocking. But
so we've, and Matt was in a meeting yesterday. He said he just lost one in Nebraska Realty at 4%, right? That you could have got if you would have matched that. I in a 3-day span, had 6 agents talk about transactions we lost in Nebraska Realty that were 3.5, 3.8, 4.0. And in every single case, they said that we want to give you the opportunity. We'd rather be with Berkshire. We'd rather be with you. But, the public is becoming aware of this mindset of commission cutting, and we've got to figure out how do we add more value to that. So I want to run through real quick some of the Rethink Councils, and I'll get you a more detailed list of this. A white paper should be coming out from the Rethink Council over the next week or two, and each one of the Rethink Council members is going to be doing a video on their top takeaways from the Rethink Council. So as those videos come out, let's make sure that we'll get those out to you guys, so you guys will share those with you. Those are supposed to be 5 to 10 minute videos. A number of things. One of them is starts out with Amanda. Is Amanda in the room? Amanda, I shared this talk. We call this the shitty letter. Anyone from Briley's group out there? And Josh, I know you said you just did one of these, right, last week? The shitty letter. Why is it called a shitty letter? Because it's just a handwritten letter that's sent out to people in the neighborhood. And my understanding is pretty much Amanda, every time she does this, gets 1 or 2. Josh, is that correct? She always picks up some clients from this. But hello, I recently sold 6240 South 150th Street, and there are still a ton of buyers looking to get into the neighborhood. The only problem is there isn't much to choose from. Would you consider selling? Please let me know. Amanda Sway. Handwrite this, handwrite the address, send this out. Kind of goes hand in hand with one of the agents there saying, Tom Ferry has a yikes letter, which is just kind of the same thing as the shitty letter. Yikes, there's low inventory, we need your help. Do you know anybody willing to sell? And a handwritten note, the exact same situation. So those type of things, as simple as they sound, they do work. Another thing was a person put a card in there. So every time that they would sell a house, they would get a postcard, and they would get the database. They said to the client, who all needs to know your new address? Who in your database? So they would get the database of the buyer's clients, and they would send for them a you've moved thing, and then they would have their self branded on the back of it. Cool. And they're like, they don't have any issue when they sell a house getting from their buyers the name of that database. They're saying, listen, there's going to be a lot of people that need to know that you've moved. Who do you want me to send this out to? Kind of went hand in hand. Another person said, we do home welcoming parties at the same time. And there was a handful of people doing that, and they really loved the results of that. Can we get a copy of that? You'll get copies. We'll get you guys copies of all this stuff, okay? The last thing I'll move off of.
I'm not giving you my copies.
Huh?
I'm not giving you my copies.
Yeah, we're going to go fast here. Real quick, so I'm gonna run through these. Home welcoming party I talked about. Lunch and learns for businesses. We spend a lot of time, I'm not gonna get into it because we've talked a little bit about video. We've got to embrace video. You've got to have, on next steps, that might be a video on next steps with words on it, that might be the app. But they were talking about, you have to have the words on those, and there was a couple apps they were talking about that are better than others. Google Trends was some statistic stuff. So there was like 3 people in the room that were using Google Trends to search things. So I wrote a note for us to look that up to get better accommodated with that and understand that, and then we'll get out to you guys how that works. They're saying use hashtags. They were talking a lot about social media, and they said you've got to look up and watch a Chelsea Piltz, P-E-I-T-Z, that she's a social media guru on real estate that really does an unbelievable job. One person says, we have a day, kind of Charlie does this, pets to the park, then take pictures of them and their pet and post that on social media. Another person said they will get a snow cone truck at the end of the school year, and they'll hand out balloons to all the kids, and it's branded to them. And so the last day of school, they take a snow cone truck to the school. They've got balloons they're handing out. They're like, it cost me $300-400, and I brand myself, and everybody knows I'm in real estate. Couple last ones here. I kind of like this. It kind of goes hand in hand with what we heard a couple years ago with a person out of Philadelphia saying that they would go to a coffee shop and say, I'll buy the sleeves, brand you on one side, brand us on the other side. A person went and bought thousands of bar coasters, and they said the cost was next to nothing. And they went to popular restaurants and bars and said, would you like me to give you 1,000 of these so you don't have to? And they're like, it's crazy. They're like in five different restaurants and bars that took $1,000 to 1,000 of these coasters each, and they just put them out for their clients to use. So you're branded every time someone goes to that restaurant or bar with a bar coaster. This one I find is interesting. This would not work for Ralph, but one person in this crazy low inventory market, they're going in there and they're saying, listen, I never take more, and you can pick your number. They said 6. I never have more than 6 or 7 listings at any given time. That's it. If you want to be one of these 6, sign up and you're committed, because I want to make sure that I have enough time, energy, and effort to focus on your listing and not become overwhelmed just trying to do everybody's listings. So a strategy for those of you to think about, to say, I only do X. I mean, if you got 0 right now, you probably could say, I never take more than 3 listings at a time. When you get 3, say, I don't take more than 4. I don't know, but just food for thought. When you have 55, say, I never take more than 60. All right. Many times, it kind of goes with what Ralph says, and I cannot, it was one of the rethink, and that we call him G because I can't pronounce his name. Many times we listen to respond versus listening to understand. I really like that quote. Many times we listen to respond versus listening to understand. And he talked about really in listing presentations and with buyers, we need to listen to understand what are their wants, their needs, what's important to them, versus us just giving them an answer and shooting it right back to them. And then I wanted to poll, we'll send this out. Again, I was reminded by Gino's 18 questions that when he's meeting somebody for the first time, introducing himself to get to know them on a better, deeper level. So we'll get that to you guys. But there's some other things, we'll get that out to you guys. But we're over our time, but let's give Ralph a big hand for his sharing. Ralph, do you have anything you want to say in parting? Any last thought that you have out of it?
Just less you, more them. That's the main thing. Over and over, every speaker said the same thing. Less you, more them.
Guys, I hope that you like when we're coming back, sharing what we're learning at these other conferences with you. I hope you're taking parts of that away. Again, don't become overwhelmed in this. Go back and figure out what's 1 or 2 things that you really could implement in your business today. Implement that very well, and then go back to that list and find a second and a third and a fourth thing. But don't go try to implement 5 or 10 of these things at once. Good Guy Award or Good Gore Award,
yes.
Who are we giving this to?
Tabitha was the Good Gal of the Week, and she is given this to a proud friend of mine as well, so I'm happy to give this alongside for her. So in her words, he is just a great dude. He's got this constant aura. He's got this constant...
I'm not sure who's going to write our letters now that Brooke's going to be gone, because we were quite the pair.
That shows how solid he really is. Not only hardworking, but kind and thoughtful and a great husband and an awesome dad. He's also someone that can make fun of himself and doesn't have to be the loudest person in the room to get his witty and often sarcastic point across. Super proud to pass this along to TJ O'Leary, dude. You're the good guy of the week. And his 2020 dream board is like already knocked out. So now he started. If you guys go by his office, check out his whole window because he's now done with his dream board and onto his window.
So does anyone still have ballots that we need to pick up? Do we need to have one more sweep through? Anyone has ballots? You want to do a quick sweep through just see if there's any ballots to pick up? Guys, yes.
I am getting ready to do another class that is absolutely not real estate related. It's a motivation class. I'm doing it February 6th. I want to take it to NAR convention, so I'm asking to test it out on you guys. And so instead of making you pay for it, it's a $5 donation to the Sunshine Kids. And it'll be here February 6th. We'll send out an e-bite. Christy's helping me put that together. And it's essentially looking at your level of success. The class is called Level Up. It is looking at where you're at, are you happy where you're at, and how to keep focused on little things that you can do to stay positive when you're having a bad day, when you want to quit every other week, how to keep going and go forward. So I hope you'll join me with that.
Guys, Home Standards is back there, has breakfast. Please stop by, grab something, say hi to them, chat with them a little bit. Please, the Prosperity Mortgage, that $10,000 guarantee, I really think is a game changer, and that's a very bold move. So I'm excited about that as we get into this multi-offer situation world that I feel like we're already into. Let's embrace that. But guys, have a great day. Continue to prospect. Continue to communicate. Let's go tackle them. Watch the Super Bowl on Sunday. I expect to see and hear you. Go Chiefs!